Everybody walked into San Diego expecting the road course ringers to run away with it. Instead, the reigning two-time Cup champion Kyle Larson stole the fastest lap on a brand-new street circuit practically built for the exact guys he just beat. Spins, walls, near misses, and an oval master sitting on top of the board. Kyle Larson just shocked NASCAR at San Diego practice. And here is the full story. Let's rewind to Friday afternoon, because this session was electric from the drop of the green. The NASCAR Cup Series rolled out for its very first taste of the Qualcomm Circuit at Naval Base Coronado, a brand new 3.4-mile, 16-turn street course carved right into an active Navy base on the San Diego waterfront. 50 minutes of practice. One short window to learn a track nobody on the grid had ever driven. And when the dust settled, it was the number 5 patriotic HendrickCars.com Chevrolet of Kyle Larson sitting right at the top of the timing screen. Larson laid down a lap of 2 minutes, 16.588 seconds, a blistering run at nearly 90 miles an hour around a concrete-lined street circuit, and he did it in the closing moments of the session to snatch the top spot away from Todd Gilliland by just under 0.3 of a second. The Elk Grove, California native timed it perfectly, waited until the track was at its fastest, then went out and stamped his name on the board when it mattered most. And here is the kicker that makes this a heater for the ages. Just one day earlier, on Thursday, Larson was announced as the cover athlete for this year's NASCAR video game. So picture it. You get named the face of the entire sport on Thursday, then you roll into a street course nobody has ever raced and post the fastest lap in the building on Friday. You could not script a better 48 hours for the reigning champ. But now let's get to why this genuinely shocked the NASCAR world, because the headline is not just that Larson was fast, it is who he beat, and where he beat them. This was supposed to be Shane van Gisbergen's weekend. The New Zealander is a stone-cold road course assassin, a 7-time Cup road course winner, who walked into this weekend sitting just 2 road course victories away from tying Jeff Gordon's all-time record of 9. A street course in San Diego? That is supposed to be his backyard, his specialty, the kind of track where he embarrasses the oval guys. And for most of the session, that is exactly how it looked. Van Gisbergen was pacing the field, fastest on the board, looking every bit the favorite the whole garage expected him to be. Then the script flipped. Van Gisbergen was actually quickest right before the teams bolted on their third set of fresh tires, the set that should have delivered his best lap of the day. And while Van Gisbergen sat there with unused speed in his pocket, Larson pounced and took the headline. The Oval King beat the Road Course King on the Road Course King's own turf, and he did it without the drama. That is the shock. Now, to be fair, calling Larson a pure oval guy sells him short. The man is arguably the most versatile racer on the planet right now, a guy who wins on dirt, on pavement, in sprint cars, and yes, on road courses too. He has won at tracks with left and right turns before, and his car control is otherworldly. So this was not some fluke from a driver out of his element. It was a complete racer reminding everyone that he can beat the specialist anywhere, even on their favorite kind of track. Now, before anybody crowns Larson for Sunday, let's pump the brakes and read the timing sheet like analysts, because it tells a more layered story. On single lap pace, the top 5 was Larson, then Todd Gilliland in the number 34, Ty Gibbs in the number 54, rookie sensation Connor Zilisch in the number 88, and Carson Hocevar in the number 77. Corey Heim, Michael McDowell, Van Gisbergen, Austin Hill, and Alex Bowman rounded out the top 10. A rookie inside the top 4 on a track this brutal, that is seriously impressive stuff from young Zilisch. But qualifying pace and race pace are 2 very different animals, and this is where it gets interesting. When you look at the longer 5-lap averages, the picture changes completely. Van Gisbergen, Austin Hill, Michael McDowell, Ty Gibbs, and Todd Gilliland were the 5 fastest on sustained race runs. So while Larson grabbed the glory lap, the drivers who can keep the speed up over a full green flag run might be a different group entirely. And Austin Hill carried a quiet little edge, too, because he was one of the only Cup drivers cleared to run the lower division races earlier in the weekend, which means he banked real track time while everyone else was still learning the place blind. So Larson has the headline and the momentum. But Sunday is going to come down to who can survive 75 laps, not who can nail one perfect lap. And speaking of survival, let's talk about the chaos, because that is the other half of why this session had everyone buzzing. This new street course bit hard, and it bit early. Austin Cindric went for a spin. Brad Keselowski nosed his car straight into the tire barrier, and then came the moment of the entire session. Jimmie Johnson, the 7-time champion, got loose and went around for a full 360 spin, but instead of lifting and parking it, the legend stood flat on the throttle, kept the thing spinning in a complete circle, and somehow drove right out of it without ever touching the wall. 45 years of racing instinct on full display. Absolutely sensational car control from a guy who has seen it all. Then there is Kevin Magnussen, and his day was a wild ride all on its own. The former Formula One driver is making his NASCAR Cup Series debut this weekend in the Trackhouse Racing Project 91 number 91 Chevrolet. And get this, he had never even driven a Cup car on a track before this session. His very first laps in the machine came on one of the most demanding street courses NASCAR has ever built. Predictably, the walls found him. Magnussen smacked the barrier with the right side of his car exiting the final corner, then tagged it again with the left side coming out of turn 1. 2 separate hits, and he still wound up 29th on the board on his maiden Cup run. Rough, but you have to respect the bravery of that assignment. And here is the part that should genuinely concern everyone watching. By NASCAR's own measure, this Cup practice was the calm one. The Truck Series and the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series sessions that ran earlier in the day were even messier, even more chaotic, with more cars finding the concrete. If the Cup session, with the best stock car drivers on the planet, still produced spins, wall contact, and a full 360, then Sunday's Anduril 250 could turn into an absolute war of attrition. The drivers themselves are not sugarcoating it. Van Gisbergen flat out said that watching the trouble everyone was having makes him certain it is going to be brutal, that every single corner looks like somebody has had an issue out there, and that he does not believe a perfect lap is even possible on this layout. Brad Keselowski warned the race could become a fight just to keep your car in one piece. Slick pavement, narrow racing lines, concrete walls inches off the apex, and almost zero runoff room. This is not a forgiving racetrack. This is a place that punishes the tiniest mistake instantly. Add in the human element and the stakes climb even higher. Christopher Bell is racing this weekend with a fractured left wrist, and he actually climbed out of the number 20 Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota partway through the session and handed it over to relief driver Brent Cruz, just to get the car some laps. A street fight this physical on a brand new circuit with a banged up wrist? That is a brutal hand to be dealt going into Sunday. So what does all of this actually mean heading into the Anduril 250?